welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning, nutty people. It's Thursday again, so you know what time it is. I'm going to do a little bit of a different introduction today, though. So if everyone could get in whatever spiritual position you would like to be in, whether that's bowing your heads, clasping your hands, holding your hands up, doing a handstand, laying down with one foot up, whatever works. So, in the words of the Right Reverend Doctor of Brilliance and Music, dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Electric word, life. It means forever. And that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you there's something else. The after world. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one, Doctor, everything's gonna be all right. Instead of asking how much of your time is left, asking how much of your mind, babe. Because in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld. You're on your own. And if the de-elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy and punch a higher floor. Those surviving in Minneapolis know that his spirit is still watching over you. And the awakening of change is here because of you, for you, and with you. We are here for you and with you. Those of us who are in other places are shining that light that the Right Reverend Prince spoke about. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to open this show slightly different than usual in honor of those brothers, sisters, cousins, neighbors, humans in the entire world who are dealing with any kind of oppression, fear, and confusion in their life because of all of the confusion people are feeling on who we are in relation to others, how we interact with each other, and hopefully bringing to light all of the ugly things that have been in our history as humans for thousands of years that we finally can get rid of. And to me, that is the afterworld that Prince spoke of. There is an after to the confusion and strangeness that we are going through. And that after comes from awakening to deciding to change. We are more and more, in many ways, humans are finding how they are to awaken. And it starts with each of us individually awakening to what we want to change within ourselves. And in order to do that, you have to go inside. You have to go deep. You have to go and see what it is inside of you that you are choosing or want to change. And it can be a little thing. It could be, hey, instead of drinking coffee in the morning, I want to drink 4 waters before I drink a coffee. Or instead of going to bed at 1 in the morning, I want to go to bed at 11. It's little things. And sometimes for some people, those little things are really, really hard. In fact, for all of us, but different little things are hard for each of us. I was just speaking to a friend who we were talking about finding some technology and navigating it, and they were having Techxiety. And I recognize Techxiety very quickly, but I also navigate it differently than others. And I know that others have extreme challenging reactions to lots of tech coming at them at once. And to me, it energizes me. So we each have different reactions to things. And so with that, and with some major excitement, I am bringing on a guest today that is going to help us navigate and look at little things in energy and spirituality. And we're going to talk about that awakening to what you want to change and how to do it. So with that, I am going to welcome our guest as soon as this is over. Good morning, Lori.
Hi there. So glad to be here.
Welcome to Show Me Your Nuts. And you are the first live guest of the year, of the season. And we get to show off our nuts in front of everybody.
You know, I've been doing it for years.
Oh, how are you doing this Thursday morning?
You know what? I'm doing remarkably well. These are weird ass times, and I think that to be able to say that one is doing well, instead of going "I'm fine," is actually a mark of great inner growth. So I can stick with it.
She shows up on stage and does the mic drop straight off the bat. Seriously, the mic drop.
Wow.
And
cool.
Yeah, because I think that the I'm doing fine is a automatic response that we seem to like drop out of our mouth without thinking about it. And the thing is when somebody asks how you are doing, they want to know like how you are right that moment, not some like standardized answer like I'm fine.
Are you sure they want to know? Because that's the other thing.
Well, there we go. There we go. I was just going to say, and when I ask, I do want to know, but then again, that's bullshit. I'm calling myself out on my own shit. Because yeah, there's time, we're also conditioned to ask people how you're doing without actually wanting to know.
Yeah,
now,
you're right.
When I asked you just then, I definitely did want to know. And I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Because to me, that we're going to go down the word search today. What does well mean to you?
Oh, what a great freaking question.
And we haven't even gotten into the hot nuts yet.
Oh my God, this is a pretty hot nut, I gotta say. Wow. So if I spent 40 years in clinical depression, and healed that in 2022 with a combination of emotional and energetics and interesting things. Actually healed that.
It was 22 also.
Why?
November 17th, 2022 is the day I put my generalized anxiety disorder of 40 years into remission.
Stop it. Really?
Yep.
What
time period of the year was yours? What time period of the year did your depression go into remission?
July. It didn't go into remission. It stopped. I rewired my brain. It's gone.
Oh, I rewired mine too. The reason I use the word remission is my public health brain and my social work brain, the scientific side of the brain can't bring itself to use the word cure because that has a very specific meaning, just like the word statistically significant or something saying something significant is very specific. Those to me are in my scientific brain. So they're in the left side, Lori. If you don't know, you got to watch Lori on TikTok. We'll get back there in a minute. Those specific words. And so the word cure has a very specific meaning in my brain, and I couldn't bring myself to use that word. So I used the word remission because it's, remission could mean forever, but it also could mean that it could show back up here and there. Now, my true heart says it's gone.
Well, I mean, not to go too much into this because I don't think it's all that important, but honestly, I've had a few like moments of depression, but it's not clinical depression, and I'm able to heal it in minutes. It's not like, and it's just not the same thing. Like one was because of medication, and it's like it's very situationally specific. It's not the groove in my brain it's gone. It's been shifted deliberately.
Well, and I would say that I know for my anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder is inappropriate, unwarranted, or excess anxiety, right?
Yep.
And the process I used called mental emotional release, otherwise known as timeline therapy, created by Dr. Tad James and then refined by Dr. Matthew James, who was my teacher. And I was literally in the process of the training and that's one of the things I chose. It wasn't actually, I didn't choose anxiety disorder for my, my session. I chose something else, but in the process, it took away the anxiety disorder, which is so wild.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination of your unconscious mind, which in my personal thought is our unconscious mind is then we go from our conscious mind, which is like what we see and know here, what we think is reality. Right. And then you've got your unconscious mind, which runs 95% of our day. And it's, a part of us also, but then it's connected to our higher self is the next connection, which is kind of ethereally in a way outside of ourself, but not outside of ourself, because it really isn't. It's, and that's the part that's connected to what I call quantum or the outside. And the work I did literally was in the unconscious mind and then the higher self. Instead of conscious mind, things like CBT, and as a therapist, I'm going to put quotes around that simply because things like, don't get me wrong, CBT, DBT, EMDR, those things, those kinds of quote unquote traditional therapy, clinical therapy things, they're helpful. They do work, but not if they don't work unless you get rid of what's underneath. And the timeline therapy gets rid of the negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and baggage that's underneath it. Now, before you even get to that point, though, you have to, before you get to getting rid of the baggage, there are 2 steps you have to take before that. And the first step is deciding you want to change, which is what we've been doing this 6 weeks. And then starting next week, we're going to talk about the next thing you've got to do. The next 6 weeks, we're going to talk about the next chunk that you have to do, which is taking responsibility for your own shit, which means you have to take responsibility for your part in the thing. Then you can work on getting rid of the baggage. And then after that, you can create your future or do SMART goals or visualizations or things like that. And the reason visualizations and SMART goals fall off and don't work after a while, or they're not completely effective, is because you have to do those other 4 things first.
Well, I'm fascinated as ever with, first of all, your very technical approach to things, because I do that too. Like I want to take personal growth, and I do take personal growth and make it actual and real. Like spirituality should not just be another dogma. You want to try to find the kind of spiritual assistance that actually does something for you, which is scary because then you have to leave the herd mentality, and that can be incredibly hard for people. But if you're in enough pain, you'll be willing to try it, basically, is the philosophy there.
And I don't really got to be in that level of pain that you will leave the herd to do the thing, to like that the awakening comes from being in that much pain.
It's the way it is, and I don't like it. And if I had to talk with God face to face, so to speak, I would be like, what the hell were you thinking? But but I don't have answers like that level of whatever. I don't have, but I do want to say something about what you just said before, because I don't believe in the subconscious. I don't believe in the unconscious. What I mean is, are there things that you don't know about yourself? Absolutely. Are there things that you didn't know you were thinking? Absolutely. Are there things you didn't know? Blah, blah, blah. Absolutely. But the problem with focusing on that is that then you are giving yourself an out. You're going, well, I can't be conscious of this because I didn't know. And I prefer, right? I prefer to say, and this has been my experience, that the doorway into what I don't know is right freaking in front of my face, in your face, everybody's, it's how you feel. That's how am I feeling about this? You know, like, so if you can say, well, I just feel like this is crap, or I just feel stupid, or I feel like I'm an idiot, or there's your subconscious.
Well, and see, I was going to say, I was just going to retie that in, because I was going to say the language that our conscious mind speaks, quote unquote, is logic and like physical, maybe physical touch, or you know, things we think are real. And you and I kind of touched on that earlier this morning, but maybe we'll come back around to that, is that we think this is reality. But our what I call our unconscious mind is the language it speaks is pictures, stories, and senses, which is feelings. So
100%,
our feelings, our emotions, and what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you taste, what you smell, anything that, when you can attach to those pieces, that's when it's you know that it's your quote unquote unconscious mind that's working. And that mind is not mind like brain. That's mind like your entire body.
It's your being.
It is your senses and things. And so I think it might be semantics or perspective. I think it's semantics maybe, because really I think we're talking the same thing. And because when you can get to where you feel about it, or even somatics where you feel it in your body, because I have found also when you really can get to where you feel a thing in your body and describe the thing, and you can actually literally, you can get to the point where you can move it around and you can transmute it. And when you can get to that point, you start really tapping into your own power to not only, well, it's past taking responsibility for your own shit, because first you got to realize, what did you do to put yourself in that situation? That's what I mean by taking responsibility. But the when you can then also take it from there and transmute it by figuring out what feels what in your body and what you do with it, that's when it's powerful AF. You know?
Transmutation is what this journey is supposed to be about. Like when we are functioning outside of a place of survival or triggered, you know, abuse or whatever, when we are really clear, I believe it's not about enlightenment. I mean, for me, it's not about enlightenment. It's about, I want to take any experience that I'm having, suck the juice out of it, and also transmute it, because my therapist is fond of saying to me, you know, stop trying to get out of the bad feelings, because they have something to tell you, you know, so first listen to what they're telling you, then you can transmute it. And I'm like, spot on, baby. Yeah. Because
so
my whole thing,
them,
you've got to experience your feelings, your emotions, your senses, your feelings. And this culture sucks at that.
Oh,
absolutely.
We are social. It has been socialized out of us. And I don't know that it's been that on purpose. It may or may not.
Yes,
we
it has.
Go there all day long.
Yes,
yeah,
has.
we can. I know.
But a long time ago, and I think consistently since.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think also that the things that the things you and I have talked about, it's partially a resurgence of some of ancient knowledge, and I'll call it traditional science, meaning you go back far enough, any of us are indigenous to somewhere, and those groupings of people knew more of this from they knew because they paid attention to their feelings, they paid attention to their senses, they paid attention to patterns. And what's funny is them doing that is what birthed what we now call science, which I'll call Western science. That birthed it, but it also, after it birthed it, then the Western science wanted to cut off the traditional science, which is weird. Right. And it's gone back and forth with that. Because if you figure about 100 years ago, people like Tesla knew some shit. And then some of that shit kind of disappeared. They knew it, and then like just when they were getting ready to tell people about it, it's like, oh, nope, that's not going to happen. I think we're at a different point this time, though. This time we've got this volcano of negative, all the bad stuff in humanity that has come up. And I call it a volcano because then volcanoes can have cracks in it and things can start seeping out. And then what seeps out and what actually eventually explodes, that lava then turns into or transmutes into beautiful sand that is silky and feels good and has lots of different little, if you put it under a microscope, it's just beautiful, right? And so it turns into this other thing. And I think we're at the point where the volcano is huge and it's getting ready to blow. And by blow, what I mean is showing everybody all of the bad so that we can get to what I was saying earlier with Prince of the afterworld, because there is an after of all this. And the after is going to be where more people learn or begin learning about what you and I already know about the light being within us, and about getting a hold of our own energies and our feelings and such, and get like, and this is why some of us are talking about it, I think, more and more, because we're getting everybody else ready, because then they'll be able to learn it.
I don't think we're going to learn anything in the afterlife. That just because we didn't learn it here. I think we came here to learn to.
I mean, an after I'm talking about, like, you know how we talk about COVID and we talk about the before times and the after times, meaning COVID. I'm talking about all the shit that's going on right now. And that eventually what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this time period right now as the before that and the after. That's what I mean by afterlife. I don't mean afterlife as in after we are deceased. I mean, literally, we'll be still living in this life somehow. And we're going to talk about this time period as before times and after times. That's what I mean.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
And that there's some of us, we're kind of setting the stage and getting people used to and ready for, and that by bringing the light, quote unquote, the more we are able to work on our own shadows or our own whatever, and bring forward our own internal lights. And it's not this little light of mine shit. That's not what I mean.
Okay, hold on. I have to pause you. Because this is all dogma. This is all freaking dogma. We have to define this shit for people.
Yep.
What does it mean to bring the light? Okay, so for me, bringing the light is when I dare to feel something just a tiny bit better than I might be feeling in the moment. It's daring to believe that I have this power that everybody actually has, and that it's here and it's now, and I don't have to earn it. I don't have to deserve it. It is me. The whole thing is like a complete breakdown of all the bullshit we've been given from religion over the last 2,600 fucking years. And, you know, like, it's enough now. It's enough now. We've been I have a best friend who's like, when I talk to her about what I'm learning about the mystical reading of the Bible, she's like, well, I've you know, studied the Bible my whole life. And I'm like, you haven't studied shit. You've been in church. You've been like breathing in this garbage
group
for
think.
your whole life.
Yeah.
Group
thing.
thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then I tell her stuff like,
this little light of mine is, when I said this little light of mine, that is dogma and bullshit. When I talk about doing our own going internal and feeling our own feels and working, like you said, sitting in the bad stuff, but transmuting it and feeling just a little bit better than you did before. That's what I mean as the light, because you become lighter as you work on bringing your own vibration up. Right.
Nice
and so to me, that one's not dogma.
No,
there is dogma about the light, quote unquote, and there's dogma all over the place about all sorts of things.
But we have to define our terms. So when you talk about bringing in the light, you've got to define your terms.
Well,
they're going to put that on my freaking headstone. Define your terms. She's dead. Define your terms.
I've got a T-shirt that says, something about intend your puns, cowards, and it's a squirrel with a sword. Intend your puns, cowards. You know, be intentional about.
I like it.
Yeah, you know, and that reminds me of the, you know, like, we do have to define our terms, but here's the other thing, and this is like so sister show on Beyond the Breakthrough Show Network. Breakthrough Show Network is where this show is, by the way, and one of my sister shows here is called Beyond 2D, and it's Jessica and Ferran, and they dive deep into defining things every episode. It's some amazing stuff. And actually many of the shows over here, we often, for whatever reason, come to the defining of terms. And I think it's a fantastic, what's the word? Let me find my right word. It's a fascinating process to me, because here's where it's fascinating to me. And I don't know if you and I talked about this. I think we did. 8.2 or 8.3 billion people on the planet, minus 1 equals respect. That's my formula. And one of these days, yes, I'm going to put it on a T-shirt with the squirrel. But
wait, I don't understand. What do you mean minus 1%? What? Okay.
No, minus 1, just minus 1. So 8.3 billion minus 1 equals respect. And so let me line the rest of it out. 8.3 billion, that's how many people are on the planet. There are 8.3 billion different, completely unique ways of looking at the world and defining the world, defining every experience, defining the meanings between them, defining everything. So like everybody has a different movie playing in their head. And minus 1 means the only one that I completely understand, and only at this moment, because frankly, I don't completely understand it. I just understand it to this point. It's a work in progress always. This is the only one. Even if I had a twin that had gone through the same life, exact same biology, exact same nurture, still would be different. And even my best friend who knows a buttload of stuff about me and can finish my sentences and blah, blah, blah. And you know, I trust to take care of things if I'm not in the right capacity. Okay. She still doesn't know 100%. She can't. And even if my husband and brother, the three that they have, in order to, if Stacy becomes incapacitated, those three have to discuss the situation, put as much of me as they each have in it, and do the best they can. They will never have Squirrel Wrangler. It's just not possible. Just like it's not possible for me, like, let's say you and I grew up together, we did everything together, and we knew each other intimately. I still wouldn't know you to the point to know for sure everything that's going on in your movie. And then here's the kicker. Here's why it equals respect. When you can actually envision and realize that the other human being you're looking at, their story or their whatever is as real, valid, appropriate, name the positive words, accurate, all the words you want, defined how they want, everything. When you can realize that that's the only way, or that theirs is just as, I'm just going to use the word valid, as valid and real as yours, only then do you really have the opportunity to have true respect for other humans. Is when you realize and allow them to be, do, and have the things they are. And do that for everybody on the planet. If everybody did all of that, we'd obviously be able to fix the shit.
It's not a very simple thing. I mean, it's a real thing, but it's, and I don't believe everybody's view is as valid as mine. I believe that everybody's view is valid for them.
Oh, like and that's what I mean. Their view, like your view, is 1,000% valid for you.
Because I do not believe in abusing children. So anybody who believes that's okay, that's not a valid point of view. But that is their point of view. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And I think it's, gosh, and that was one of those hard things to wrap around, because here's the other one that's a kicker, is how do you wrap around taking responsibility for your own shit in life when you have been abused, and taking responsibility for your own shit in you being abused?
Would you like my answer?
Well, it took me a long time to find the answer that I have for it.
Me too.
Because yes, I would like your answer, and I'm not going to tell you mine yet. But there is an answer of how you can take responsibility for your own shit, even though you've been abused, even if it was done to you as a child. It's weird. It's got to wrap your head around it, but it is weird.
It's a very intense thing to approach, and if you are just fresh out of it, or you're still in it,
absolutely.
Don't ask that of yourself. Don't ask that of yourself.
Absolutely.
That's not a fair thing.
No, do not ask that of yourself. You're not ready.
No,
you're not ready.
No. Instead, what you want to do is get out of the survival mode. You want to get away from the person or whatever it is you need to do to give yourself the care, the consideration, the compassion that will allow you to heal and find whatever you need to find. It really doesn't matter. You need a therapist, that's great. You need a preacher, go find a preacher. Whatever you freaking need, you know,
like, kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
It is completely, yes.
You've got to have like food, water, shelter, safety. Like the basic needs are what, absolutely. It's not until farther in the journey that you get to where I'm talking about. Now the abuser themselves, they need to take responsibility for their shit. Although often they are abused.
I don't want to go there right now. I want to stick with where we are, because it's really important to follow this train of thought. So I was given a bunch of money when my dad passed. My mother had passed when I was 21, and he passed when I was in my 40s, and left me a bucket of money. And it wasn't like millions of dollars, but it was still more money than I at that time could ever imagine having. And then I did not spend it frivolously, but I spent it. I went out west. I decided I'm going to become, a jazz singer, an artist, an actor, because I'd already been doing that in Ohio. And I'm like, I can't make it here. So that's an erroneous assumption, but I went out there. And then by the end of 11 years, I went broke and homeless. So in the middle of that trauma, in the middle of that incredibly hot, every moment shame that I felt. Incredible shame.
I can feel that heaviness when you're talking. I can feel it.
So intense. And at the same time, I was exercising my pride to make sure that I wasn't doing what my emotions wanted me to do so freaking desperately, which was go save me, go to friends and go save me. Like, no, you're going to be you're going to be better than that. You're going to figure this out. You're going to get the help you need, but you're not going to be like an anchor going, I can't do anything and whatever. So it was a really big period of growth, of amazing growth. And so at that time, there was no way that I could understand what I now understand, which is that from the time I was a little girl, I mean, I was raised in a sort of a quasi upper middle class home. I didn't want for anything. And yet I've been afraid of poverty my entire life. Until now. Like, I'm not terrified now. But
no, you've been there, done that.
No, right. Nobody wants to go broke. But what I know now about that, looking back, first of all, on a very human level, I know what to do if that happens. I know who to get help from. I know that I've been there, done that. And I can, I just, it's a whole different place to stand in relationship to it. And the other thing is that I believe that on a spiritual level, my soul decided it wanted to do that. And I was trying to think at one point, why would my soul want that experience? And I think, because I remember as a kid thinking, or not as a kid, but as a young woman thinking, I want to be able to make my own living and not build on my parents' money. I actually thought that.
Wow.
And I thought it a number of times throughout my 20s. And then there I was in my 40s, or my 50s, actually. It was 55 when I went broke and homeless. Physically broken at the same time, emotionally broken at the same time. I'm like, it was like a perfect storm.
Oh my God.
So I had to restart my life at 55. And I did that. And this is why I can so strongly say to people that there is nothing that can necessarily stop you. If you can persevere, if you can feel, if you can reach out for help, if you cannot give up on yourself, then you can move forward. You can change everything.
If you can find that one spark of hope is kind of what I just heard you say in a way. Find and follow the hope or follow the joy.
I wasn't following hope though when I started. Yeah. I was being just freaking, what's the word I'm looking for? I was like, you know what? If I'm going to end up old and broke and living on the street, then I'm not going to get there without fucking fighting. I'm going down fighting. That's what got me moving every day. It was like, fuck this. This is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not who I'm supposed to be. I have so much to freaking offer. I can't even stand it. And I've tried and tried and tried. And it turned out that was the answer. That was like such a major part of it. And it's the feminine. I was trying. But I'm a really good trier. And I was a sucky allower. So
we could go so far with that. That's a whole show. I think we need to do a whole show on that one. I love where we're going today. And this is one of the reasons I love Show Me Your Nuts, because though I have kind of there's a cadence to the shows. There's a quote unquote planned idea, but I also love, just like so those of you in the audience who's ever been to my weekly coffee, and if you haven't, why not? Every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central, quantumquaff.com. Show up. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to drink coffee. You can drink whiskey. The only rule in coffee is do no harm. And the reason the only rule is to keep the simplicity and the organic nature of what happens in coffee. You never know who's going to be there, what we're going to talk about, how long like you can come and go. And Lori, you've been to coffee now a couple of times. So it's one of those things you can't explain until you've been there, I think. Although it's been going on for almost 7 years now.
That's
started
awesome.
in June of 19. So it started before the pandemic. It started in a place called Zoom that a lot of people still play in. It is now on a new platform that I can't talk about fully yet. But if you come over, you can see it. And actually, it looks very similar to what Lori and I are sitting in right now. And the studio here was built this way on purpose. But what I mean by all of that is that coffee is an organic experience. And show me your nuts, though we have kind of like, we have a starting point. I love the fact that it's very organic because the real happens in that, I think, or the thing we call real. I love that. I heard you say that. And it's like, oh my God, yes, spot on. And just to wrap us back, I'm going to wrap the thought about the being responsible for your own shit when it comes to being in abuse or being in poverty or being in whatever. What I heard you say that really struck me just then was talking about, yeah, I remember when I was little or when I was younger in my 20s, I would think I want to be able to make it on my own without anything about my parents. And it's almost like my question was, oh, did her unconscious mind, and this is the way I interpreted that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It ran through the squirrel brain and got interpreted this way, where it's, oh, her unconscious mind heard her say, this is what I want to do. I want to live my life without anything connected to my parents. And so it made it happen, whether you like, because it makes it happen in ways that you don't even know, and that's why I say it's like your unconscious mind or the universe or however it is you describe it. The universe is like, oh, yeah, you said you want to be, do life without being attached to anything of your parents. Here, hold my beer. We'll tell you what that looks like. It did it to me when I was in grad school the first time. I got done with grad school the first time with my social work degree. And I'm like, I am never going back to grad school. And I kept saying, I'm never going back. I'm never going back. I'm not going to do that again. Not that it was bad. It was just, I was done. Right. Well, in 2008, the universe said, hey, you remember that thing you said? This is going to be funny. Watch this. And I ended up in grad school a second time and got a master's in public health, which I absolutely don't regret at all. I really, I went into the pandemic with understanding mental wellness at a really, really intense level, understanding public health and things like pandemics at a really, really high level. And at that time, by the time the pandemic hit, I also had been an entrepreneur for about 20 years. So I went into the pandemic with a very different movie playing in my head and view of the world than probably the rest of the planet, or at least, many people. I'd also been in video calls for 20 years already when it hit, and knew that to me, like, so when people talk about Zoom fatigue, I'm like, huh? What? I don't understand Zoom fatigue. I don't understand doom scrolling. Neither of those are behaviors or habits or things that are in my life. Haven't ever been. And I think I finally figured out that the Zoom fatigue is predominantly people, and I may be wrong, predominantly people who have been in corporate, who then they ended up in Zoom. And they ended up in these Zoom meetings that were just boring AF, that could have been an email, that people were fumbly around and this and that. And I think it was more the way corporate or the capitalistic world was using the tool as opposed to the way entrepreneurs use the tools. We use those tools, especially those of us who work for ourselves and from home. I use the tools like that to connect with potential coworkers. I use those and hang out with my friends while we're working. That's how we do our work, or that's how we have our meetings, or that's whatever. To me, it's my office. It's not this ethereal place I have to be that could have been an email. It's the place I actually enjoy things, right? So I attached joy and comfort and connection with the tool, and people who were forced to use it, quote unquote, by circumstance, and were then in the same old kinds of meetings that didn't have to be meetings, they attached, oh shit, I don't want to be here, and whatever feels that came with all that with it. And so it became fatiguing to them, where to me it's energizing. And to me, I go into a video room when I choose to. They were going in without choices. without direct choices. They were their choices to be in that kind of employment. We could get into that for days, but I go into the thing with choice of joy.
I love connecting with people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one morning one Sunday morning, I never do this, by the way. One Sunday morning, I opened my phone, and I usually wait until I'm like situated and whatever to look at anything. And I never look at things like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, YouTube's. And like, to me, that's like, let's do that after you get your work done. You've got to get your work and chores done before you can play. And to me, TikTok was play. So this one Sunday morning, about 4-ish week, I don't even know now, 4-ish weeks ago, I opened TikTok, and there's this person sitting there talking about these amazing things. And now she's sitting next to me in my show. You guys meet Lori from the Goodbye Good Girl Project. And if you do not follow her on TikTok, you must. Hopefully, if you're anywhere near the chat, you could drop your information to get to Lori is in the description of this if you're watching replay. But I not only watched her, I carried Lori around my house that day, watching her. She energized me so much and I found joy in the TikToks and realized that it's okay to do something like that, quote unquote, before your work is done or your chores are done. And that was only one of the lessons you taught me that morning, girlfriend. Only one.
I've got to say thank you, and I've got to ask you a question, because I know what I love about me, and it's taken me many years to be able to even say that there are things I love about me. But what I'm always curious about is what is impacting other people. And I usually can't ask, but I'm going to ask you.
All right.
What's working?
I think the first thing that I found, and this is like the older I get and the more I get in touch with my own abilities or what my intuition gives me, is the intuitive hit I got from you that morning was the feels and the energy, which is so cool that we're talking about feels, right?
Nice. Yeah.
I felt your energy, and I was like, I want to watch more of this, because you're real. You like 4-letter words like I do. You you see through the BS of the dogma.
I do.
While also seeing through it to the absolute fascinating, beyond words view of the, I'll call it anything spiritual outside of the dogma, however you want to describe it. Because I think we all, again, like we said, we all have different movies playing in our head. The way yours plays and the way you describe it, I love hearing. And I love that this is something you just did this morning, is wait a minute, let's define our terms. And the define our terms, it's not because your way you define it is better than the way I define it or any of that, whatever. It's, hey, let's get on the same page.
What are we even talking about? Yeah.
Well, let's get on the same page about what we're talking about. Right. And I think when any humans make connections with each other, there comes a point where, wait, let's, when you actually go beyond the, hey, how are you doing this morning? When you do or don't mean it, to the, okay, hey, what is it you do for a living? Or who are you? Or what do you like? Or that when we really get to those things, then we go past that and we go to the, how do you really feel?
Right.
Lori, how are you doing? I feel like you're not feeling too good this morning. Or Lori, how are you doing this morning? You seem all kinds of excited, and I love that. What's going on? What's giving you that joy? When you really want, you start asking the questions to truly connect with each other. Or when you talk about something and you realize that you're each kind of on a different path of it.
Yep.
Then we, you go deeper. You go deeper.
You know what I've realized lately, and it's so funny. It's not like it's ever been hidden from any of us, But there is, lately it has impacted me. You know how you know something and then you get to learn it again deeper and it's like it's new. And I realized, I'm like, anytime I open myself or you open myself, you open yourself, sorry. You open myself.
Girl,
You
I don't know
yourself.
how to open. Yeah.
It's a risk. Like it's a total, because you can have your heart broken by friendship.
AF, right?
The same. Yes. And it's
Which
like, it's
brings me
just
to my
hit
favorite
me.
author, and the favorite researcher about that one is Brene. I love, because of her being a social worker and a qualitative researcher, she's my like heroine. If anybody out there in the audience can get me an hour with Brene, although my friends tell me, a couple of my friends said, why are you just going for an hour? Go for a day. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
If you give me a day with Brene, I would, oh my God, because I love how she she makes my profession look amazing, and her work in vulnerability in a Western scientific way.
Yep.
But she also loves 4-letter words too. So there's that, right?
I didn't know that. That's great.
Oh, she's good at, yeah. If you listen to her audio, you have to listen to her books on audio. You can't do it. You can't just read her books. You got to do it in audio. Because I can so hear her saying, fuck that.
See, there's no word to replace that one.
Heard her say it. You know,
we need that word, because, and especially in these times, let's get away from the bullshit. Enough already.
That word carries energy.
It does.
It carries lots of different energies too. You can say, fuck 100%. That, fuck off. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all of it because I don't need to drop all the F bombs, you know, like, and I also, though I love the word because of the energy it carries, and that you use it when it needs to be used, and that you reserve it for when it needs to be used so that it carries that energy the right way. But you also, at the same time, don't be afraid to fucking use it.
Exactly.
It's a word.
Exactly.
George was right when he talked about the 7 dirty words. And I was right when I looked at TikTok that morning and got to meet my amazing, beautiful guest, Lori. I've loved where we traveled today, showing off our nuts.
Me too.
And really, we did talk about awakenings to change, because you talked about your story. And I think that story is so powerful in an awakening of change. I didn't even have to go through the hot seat questions. We went there, right?
And I love it.
Your powerful story of awakening to the change that brought you to where you are now. I loved that. It was vulnerable to share it also. And I want to tell you, thank you for that, because sharing it not only in general, but sharing it on this show, I hope that I was able to hold the right space for you in that. That's
you were great.
So anybody who hasn't followed her, look in the descriptions and in such, and find and follow Lori. You may find me in the audience or on the TikToks. You may find us on some more TikToks from either of our sides or on Substack. And Lori, I'd love to have you back on Show Me Your Nuts sometime.
Yay. I'd love to be back. So
Come
that's
back
fantastic.
Anytime. And I love having you in coffee too. It's been a joy. So everybody, we'll see you next week. And next week, we're going to start really digging into the taking responsibility for your own shit, which Lori got into a little bit. And some of it is decisions we make before we get to this life. Because I think that's the ultimate responsibility for our own shit, is when we decide we want to do something, then we get here and we go, huh? What? And then we realize we've decided to do it before we got here.
Right.
And, and then you go, oh, okay. So it's not really real. It's just what I decided I wanted to do.
Which is hard if you are been sexually abused, because you're like, I did not need that.
Which is exactly why you don't need. That's not the first part of the journey. Absolutely not. The first part of the journey is and because you also brought yourself here so you could feel and learn that safety and security that you needed to learn. You brought yourself here to learn the healing that you are in, which is why the healing is not rushed. It is gentle.
That hit me. It is. Yeah. It's Because I know I always wanted my healing to be really fast, and
that's
not how it works.
Not the first of it. The first of it is the gentle awakening that you are ready to go. This isn't, and then it's the journey. Now, after that, things can happen fast at different points. You can go fast and slow, probably almost kind of like losing weight, but that's a whole different show. Letting go of your nuts, that's a whole different show. So Lori, thank you again for coming and being a real squirrel with me, showing off your nuts, and help, you guys go over and watch Goodbye Gird Girl Project. Lori's website, I believe, is in the description, and her TikTok. TikTok is the place she's at, and you're live like 7 times a week or something?
6 times a week, yeah.
6 times a week.
For those who
Sunday
are
mornings.
Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern.
And
that's for the anti-normal religious people want to show up there.
That's when I'm there. And then the evenings, you've got some evening times during the week, and
some late afternoon times too. So I try to cover the waterfront.
Hang out and get the Lori feels, you guys, because the Lori feels are so cool. They're energizing, and they may and go in with an open mind so you can question yourself and learn about yourself. I think
my God, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Yes.
That's all about what Show Me Your Nuts, and like learning. We're here to learn about ourselves.
Yep.
We're here to help each other learn about ourselves, to be honest. That's the ultimate, is when, and I think that's where that 8.3 billion minus 1 equals respect. That respect is allowing each other to learn about selves in the way and the place and the style and the words and the everything that we are each in. That is the ultimate definition of respect, in my opinion. There's not really words that can describe it except just the word respect, but it encompasses a lot.
Sure does. Oh my God. Yeah. Tons of stuff. That's another show.
That is another show. But I'll see you guys next week for more Show Me Your Nuts, and we'll talk about taking responsibility for our own shit. So I'll see you guys then.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.